Aggression wasn't new to the church. Children were openly slapped and chided for stepping outside church norms. Women were harshly mistreated if they were even suspected of extramarital relationships. Those that disobeyed church rules were preached at and pressured until they broke or left. When people crossed the church, however, things escalated. An intoxicated man stumbled into a service and disagreed loudly with the preaching. He was taken to the edge of the church property, screamed at and assaulted. One member who left the church after receiving financial aid was stalked and harassed for months. The pastor even chased the man in his car, driving alongside him, while members shouted from the back windows. The man ran a red light to escape and moved to another city soon after. We thought it was a pity that the man escaped, since he was now eternally doomed. There was talk of getting the church in his new city to pick up the pursuit. Inside the church, peer pressure and the pastor's preaching were usually enough to keep members in line, but this was threatened by the growing popularity of my relative's sub-congregation in the prison. The pastor's last-ditch effort to take control was by giving himself more authority. He learned from other ministers about a growing Upci ideology, which elevated the pastor to the status of oracle. Only a single pastor in a church would be allowed to talk to God and relay God's messages back to the people. Comparing himself to Moses delivering the 10 Commandments, the pastor said he was delivering the literal word of God, and that it would be a sin not to follow every utterance. All life decisions had to go through the pastor. My relatives and I would have none of it. After that, the pastor went for a takeover of the prison church. Laws forbade ex-convicts from entering the prison, but the pastor snuck in illegally anyway. He convinced the staff to change the prison church into his name, and told them my relative was not allowed to come back. Years had gone into starting and building the prison church, and the pastor's takeover started a heated discussion before the next main church service. During preaching, the pastor raged fiercely and eventually called my relative to the front of the church. He tried to make an example of him to show that even esteemed preachers must submit to him as the ultimate authority. The pastor grabbed my relative by his clothing and screamed in his face for minutes, saying my relative must submit to him. My relative asked repeatedly for the pastor to let go of him, and when he finally did, all my relatives walked out. We were done with that church, but next, we would see that the church was not done with us.